The night was cold, and the city lights looked far away, almost like fading stars. The streets were quiet, only the sound of cars in the distance and the soft wind moving through the trees. On an old bridge, a young man named John stood alone. His eyes were tired, his hands were shaking, and his heart felt heavy with pain. John was only 24, but his life felt broken. He had lost his job. His friends had left him. Even his family seemed far away. Every day felt darker than the one before. He believed no one cared, no one noticed him, and no one would miss him. He leaned against the railing of the bridge and looked down at the deep, black water below. It looked peaceful, almost inviting. He thought, maybe this is the only way to stop the pain. His breathing slowed. His eyes filled with tears. For him, this was the end. But then, something strange happened. A voice spoke. It was soft, calm, and yet so clear. It said, "Your story is not over yet." John turned quickly. His heart jumped. He looked left, then right. No one was there. The bridge was empty. Only the cold air touched his skin. He whispered, "Who's there?" But silence answered him. He shook his head. Maybe I'm imagining things, he thought. His mind was weak, his body tired. But deep inside, he knew he had heard it. A real voice. He tried to ignore it. He leaned forward again, his eyes fixed on the water. But before he could take another step, the voice came again. This time stronger. "Not tonight, John. Not like this." His chest tightened. His legs froze. He shouted, "Where are you? Show yourself." But nothing moved. The bridge was still empty. Yet John felt something he couldn't explain. A strange warmth in the cold night. Like someone invisible was standing beside him. Fear mixed with curiosity. He stepped back from the railing, his breath quick and heavy. His mind raced. Was it a ghost? Was it an angel? Or was he just losing his mind? John walked away from the edge, his steps slow and unsteady. His heart still pounded in his chest. He crossed the bridge and headed down the empty road, but he could not shake the feeling that someone, or something, was following him. The street lamps flickered above him. Every sound felt louder, the wind, the leaves, even his own footsteps. He looked over his shoulder many times, but saw no one. Still, the feeling of presence was strong. As he walked, memories of his life came back, his failures, his loneliness, his pain. He thought about the voice. Why had it stopped him? Who cared enough to speak when no one else did? The night grew darker, and John reached a small corner of the road where the lights were broken. He walked through the shadows, and just as he stepped forward, a speeding car rushed past. Too close. Too fast. In that second, John felt something strange. A pull. Like invisible hands dragging him back. The car missed him by inches. The sound of brakes echoed, but the driver never stopped. The car disappeared into the distance, leaving silence behind. John stood frozen. His body trembled. He touched his chest, trying to calm his racing heart. His mind screamed, that was impossible. I should have been hit. And then, in the quiet of the night, he heard it again. The same voice. You are not alone, John. His eyes widened. He turned in circles, searching the empty street. No one was there. Only darkness. Only silence. But the words stayed inside him, louder than any sound. Confusion filled his head. Fear battled with hope. Was this real? Was someone protecting him? Or had his mind completely broken? John reached his small apartment that night, but he could not sleep. He sat on his bed, staring at the wall. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the bridge. He heard the voice. He felt the invisible pull that saved his life. One thought kept returning, again and again. Who is he? Who saved me? The night that began with an end had turned into a mystery that would change John's life forever. The next morning, John woke up with heavy eyes. He had barely slept. The memory of the bridge, the voice, and the speeding car played again and again in his head. He sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the floor, trying to make sense of it all. Maybe I was dreaming, he whispered. Maybe my mind is broken. But deep inside, he knew it was not a dream. He remembered the feeling of that invisible pull. He remembered the calm, steady words that told him he was not alone. John dressed slowly and stepped out of his small apartment. The streets were already busy, filled with people rushing to work, children going to school, and cars honking in traffic. But to John, everything felt different. He felt watched. Not in a scary way, but in a strange, silent way, like someone unseen was walking beside him. As he crossed the street, his heart beat faster. He kept looking over his shoulder, but of course, there was no one there. Still, the presence felt real. He reached a small bakery on the corner. His stomach growled, but he had no money. He sighed and walked past. Hunger was not new to him. For weeks, he had been surviving on the little food left in his kitchen. He pushed the thought away and kept walking. But then something strange happened. As he slipped his hand into his pocket, his fingers touched something that wasn't there before. A folded note. He pulled it out and unfolded it. Inside was a small amount of money, just enough for breakfast. John froze in the middle of the street. He looked around quickly, searching for someone who might have slipped it in. But no one was close. The people walking by didn't even look at him. His heart raced. He whispered, "How? How did this get here?" The memory of the voice returned, "You are not alone." Shaking, he entered the bakery and bought a small loaf of bread. He sat at a table, staring at it before eating. It was simple food, but that morning, it tasted like hope. For the first time in many weeks, John felt a little warmth inside. Still, he couldn't stop asking himself questions. Who was helping him? Why him? Later that day, John walked through the park. He sat on a bench, watching children play. Their laughter echoed through the air, and for a moment, he wished he could be that carefree again. But his thoughts were interrupted when an old man walked past. The man dropped his wallet without noticing. John saw it fall, but before he could call out, the wallet moved, just a little, sliding across the ground as if pushed by invisible hands. It slid straight to John's feet. John picked it up quickly, shocked. He looked around, expecting to see someone crouched low, playing a trick. But the grass and path were empty. His skin tingled. He ran forward and handed the wallet to the old man. "Sir, you dropped this." The man smiled warmly. "Thank you, young man. You saved me." As the man walked away, John whispered to himself, "No, I didn't save you. Someone else did." That night, as John returned home, he felt restless. The signs were too many now. The voice, the pull from the car, the money in his pocket, the sliding wallet. It was real. Someone was helping him. Someone invisible. Inside his small apartment, he sat in the dark, his hands gripping the chair. The room was silent, but his heart was loud. Finally, he spoke out into the air. "Who are you?" he asked. "Why are you helping me?" For a moment, there was nothing. Only silence. John lowered his head, feeling foolish. Maybe no answer would come. But then, a soft breeze moved across the room, though the windows were shut. His hair lifted slightly, and his skin prickled. And then came the voice. Calm. Clear. Familiar. "I am someone who knows your pain, John." John's eyes widened. His throat tightened. He whispered, "Are you real?" The voice replied, steady and strong. "I am as real as your tears, and as real as your hope. You will understand in time." Before John could ask more, the air grew still again. The room returned to silence. But the words stayed inside him. That night, as he lay in bed, John thought of the strange events that had happened in just 2 days. He was alive because of that voice. He had eaten because of that voice. He had seen the impossible because of that voice. And slowly, a thought grew inside him. A dangerous, unbelievable thought. Maybe I was chosen. Maybe this invisible hero is here. For me. But why? Why him, out of millions? The mystery was only getting deeper. The days passed, but John's life no longer felt the same. Each morning, when he opened his eyes, he expected something strange to happen. And almost every day, it did. One evening, John was sitting by his small table, staring at an envelope that had been pushed under his door. He had not ordered anything, and no one had visited him. With nervous hands, he opened it. Inside was a letter. The words were short, written in neat handwriting. "Do not give up, John. The world still needs you." No name. No address. Only those words. John held the paper tightly, his heart beating fast. Who knows me this well? Who is watching me? He looked around the room as if someone invisible was standing there, smiling at his reaction. Later that night, he decided to test it. He whispered into the dark room, "Are you here?" For a few seconds, there was silence. He almost gave up. But then, a soft knock echoed against his window, 3 times, though the window was closed and locked. John's breath caught in his chest. His test had worked. He whispered again, "Why me? Why are you helping me?" This time, no voice replied. Only the feeling of warmth filled the air, the same feeling he had felt on the bridge that night. The next morning, John walked through the busy market. People pushed past him, rushing to buy vegetables and bread. He had no money, only a few coins in his pocket. His stomach ached with hunger. But suddenly, a shopkeeper called out, "Hey, young man. You dropped this." John turned, confused. The man held up a small wallet. It was not John's. He had never seen it before. Still, when he opened it, there was enough money for food. Too much to be an accident. He looked around, searching for the invisible presence. "It's him again," John thought. "He's helping me survive." That day, he ate well for the first time in weeks. Every bite felt like a gift. But the mystery only grew. The more John was helped, the more questions filled his mind. At night, he spoke into the air again. His voice trembled, but his curiosity was stronger than his fear. "Are you a ghost? Are you an angel? Or something else?" The room stayed silent for a long time. Then, the voice finally answered, "I am not what you think. I am only someone who does not want you to fall like I once did." John froze. His lips parted, but no words came out. He whispered, "Once did? What do you mean?" But the voice did not explain. Days later, John got a phone call he never expected. A company he had applied to months ago wanted him to come for an interview. His heart jumped. He had lost hope of finding work, but here was an opportunity. On the morning of the interview, John stood in front of the mirror. His shirt was old, his shoes worn, but he tried to look his best. He whispered, "If you're there, wish me luck." As he stepped out, a strange thing happened. A bus stopped right in front of him, though he hadn't waved. The driver leaned out. "Going downtown?" John nodded, surprised. He had no money for the ride, but when he searched his pocket, he found a bus ticket already there. He hadn't placed it. He sat in the bus, silent, staring at the ticket. His chest filled with warmth again. "He's here. He wants me to keep going." The interview went well. John spoke with more confidence than ever before, as if someone invisible was standing behind him, guiding his words. When he left the office, his steps felt lighter, his hope brighter. But the questions inside him burned stronger than ever. That night, he sat on his bed and said, "You saved me on the bridge. You gave me food. You gave me courage. But I still don't know who you are. Please, tell me." The room fell still. Then the voice came, soft but heavy with sadness. "I was once like you, John. Lost. Alone. Ready to end it all. But I failed myself. Now, I cannot live again, but I can help others." John's breath caught. His skin turned cold. He whispered, You're someone who died." The air grew heavy. The silence was the only answer. John leaned back, his heart pounding. A mix of fear and awe filled him. He was being protected by a soul that had once given up but now refused to let others do the same. The mystery was no longer just about survival. It was about a connection between 2 broken lives, one alive, one invisible. And John knew, deep in his heart, that his life would never be the same again. The days began to feel lighter for John. He had food, he had hope, and for the first time in many months, he had a reason to wake up each morning. But the mystery of his invisible helper never left his mind. Every night, when the city grew silent, John would speak into the air. Sometimes he received no reply. Other times, he heard the calm voice. And every time, the same thought burned inside him: who are you? One night, as John sat near his window, staring at the stars, he whispered again, "Please, tell me the truth. Why are you helping me? Why me?" For a long moment, there was only silence. John lowered his head, thinking there would be no answer. But then, the air in the room shifted. A soft breeze touched his face. And the voice spoke. "Because, John, I was once like you." John's body stiffened. His hands trembled. He asked, "Like me? What do you mean?" The voice grew heavy, filled with sorrow. "I too stood on a bridge one night. I too felt the world did not care. I too believed that ending my life was the only way out." John's chest tightened. He could almost picture it, the same loneliness, the same pain. The voice continued, softer now. "But I made the mistake of giving up. And when I did, my story ended. My time in the world was over. Yet, my spirit could not rest. I was trapped, watching others fall into the same darkness I once faced." John's eyes widened. He whispered, You're a soul? Someone who died." The air grew colder, and yet strangely warm at the same time. The invisible presence seemed closer than ever. "Yes. My body is gone, but my voice remains. I could not save myself, John. But I will not let others repeat my mistake. I will not let you end the story too soon." John's heart raced. The truth was heavier than he expected. He was being saved by someone who had once failed to save themselves. He pressed his hands against his face. "Why me, though? Out of everyone in this world, why me?" The answer came slowly, each word filled with meaning. "Because you were ready to give up, just as I was. I saw myself in you. And I knew, if I could guide you, even a little, then maybe my failure would not be wasted." Tears filled John's eyes. He felt pain for this invisible hero, but also a strange kind of respect. This unseen protector was not an angel, not a ghost sent to punish, but a broken soul, still trying to make a difference. That night, John could not sleep. He kept thinking about the words. "I could not save myself." They echoed in his mind. He imagined the invisible hero's final night, the loneliness, the silence, the hopelessness. And for the first time, John realized how close he had been to the same fate. The following days were a test. Life did not suddenly become perfect. His mother's health grew worse, and the hospital bills were far too high. John worked hard at his new job, but the money was never enough. He sat by his mother's bed one evening, holding her weak hand. His heart broke as he looked at her tired face. He whispered, "How can I save her? What if I lose her too?" When he returned home that night, he spoke into the empty room again. "You say you are helping me. Then help me save my mother. Please." The air grew still. Then, slowly, the voice answered, "I can guide you, John. I can protect you from danger. I can give you strength when you are weak. But I cannot fix everything. This fight, you must face yourself." John's hands clenched into fists. "But I'm not strong enough." The voice grew firmer, almost like a teacher speaking to a student. "You are, John. You only think you are not. When I gave up, I believed I was weak. But the truth is, I was stronger than I ever knew. I simply did not believe it. Do not make my mistake." The words struck deep in John's heart. For the first time, he realized what the invisible hero was truly giving him. It was not just protection or miracles. It was belief. Belief that he could fight, even when life was unfair. That night, as John lay awake, he whispered softly, "I don't want to fail like you did. I want to live. I want to fight. But I don't know how." The voice replied, calm and steady, "Step by step, John. You will learn. And when the day comes, you will not need me anymore." John turned his head quickly. "What do you mean? Why would I not need you?" But the voice gave no answer. Only silence. John stared into the darkness, his heart unsettled. The invisible hero had revealed the truth of his past. But there was another truth hidden in those last words, one that John was not ready to face. John's life was changing, but not in the way he had hoped. Yes, he had a job now. Yes, he had food to eat. Yes, he even had an invisible hero guiding him. But one shadow still followed him everywhere, his mother's illness. Every evening, after finishing work, John rushed to the hospital. His mother lay on the bed, weak and pale, her breathing slow. She would smile faintly when she saw him, but her eyes told the truth, she was in pain. The doctors were kind, but their words were sharp. She needs treatment soon. Without it, her condition will only get worse. Treatment. The word itself felt like a mountain. The cost was too high, far beyond what John could pay. He counted his salary again and again, but it was never enough. One night, he sat by his mother's bed, holding her thin hand. His eyes filled with tears. He whispered, "Don't leave me, Mom. Please, not you too." When he returned home, his heart was heavy. He dropped into his chair and buried his face in his hands. For the first time in weeks, anger burst out of him. He shouted into the empty room. "Where are you now? You say you're helping me, but my mother is dying. Why don't you do something? Why don't you save her?" The air in the room shifted. The familiar warmth returned. And then the voice spoke, calm but firm. "John, I cannot fight this battle for you." John slammed his fist on the table. "But why not? You saved me from the car. You gave me food when I had nothing. Why can't you save her?" The voice grew heavy with sadness. "Because this is your test. A test of your strength. A test of your belief. If I do everything for you, you will never know the power inside you." John shook his head. "I can't do this alone. I'm not strong enough." The voice grew louder, almost like thunder in the silence. "You are strong enough. You only need to see it. I was blind to my own strength, and it destroyed me. You must not repeat my mistake." John froze, his tears falling. The words cut deep. He wanted to argue, but something inside him shifted. Maybe the voice was right. Maybe he was stronger than he believed. The next morning, John made a decision. He went to the hospital and spoke to the doctors. "Please, give me time. I will find a way to pay. Just keep her safe." Then he worked harder than ever before. He took double shifts. He cleaned floors, carried boxes, anything that paid even a little. His hands ached, his body hurt, but he kept going. At night, when exhaustion almost broke him, he whispered, "Are you still here?" The voice would reply, soft and steady, "Yes, John. Keep going. One more step. One more day. Do not give up." Those words became his strength. Weeks passed. John saved every coin he could. Still, the money was not enough. The mountain of bills felt endless. One night, as he walked home through the quiet streets, he stopped at the bridge, the same bridge where his story had almost ended. He leaned against the railing, staring down at the dark water. The memory of that night returned. The loneliness. The voice. The pull that saved him. He whispered, "I want to give up again. It's too hard." The voice replied immediately, sharp and strong. "No, John. Not again. Not ever. This pain is heavy, but it is shaping you. If you give up now, everything you have fought for will vanish." John's lips trembled. "But what if I fail? What if I lose her?" Silence followed. Then the voice spoke softer, almost like a parent speaking to a child. "Even if you fail, you must fight. Because the fight itself gives meaning to life. You will not be measured by success, but by the courage to try." John closed his eyes. The words sank deep into his heart. And in that moment, he made a promise, to himself, to his mother, and to the invisible hero. "I won't give up. Not this time." The days turned into months. John's body grew thinner from the endless work, but his spirit grew stronger. And finally, one evening, he held enough money in his hands. Enough to start his mother's treatment. He rushed to the hospital, tears streaming down his face. As he gave the money to the doctor, he whispered, "I did it. We did it." That night, when he returned home, he sat in silence. His body was weak, but his heart was alive. He whispered into the air, "Thank you. Without you, I would have given up." The voice answered, softer than ever before, "No, John. It was not me. It was always you. I only reminded you of the strength you already had." John leaned back, his eyes wet, his chest full. For the first time, he believed those words. He had passed the test. The hospital room was brighter now. John's mother was recovering slowly, her smile returning little by little each day. The doctors said her treatment was working, and for the first time in a long time, hope filled the air. John sat by her side, holding her hand. His eyes were tired from long nights of work, but his heart was full. He whispered, "We made it, Mom. You're going to be okay." His mother smiled softly and touched his cheek. "You're stronger than you think, John. I'm proud of you." Those words pierced his heart. For years, he had believed he was weak, worthless, and invisible. But now, sitting in that hospital room, he realized something had changed. That night, John walked home slowly. The streets were quiet, and the stars shone above. When he reached his apartment, he sat on the bed and whispered, "Are you here?" The air shifted, and the familiar warmth surrounded him. The voice spoke gently, "Yes, John. I am here." John smiled faintly. "I wanted to tell you, thank you. For saving me, for guiding me, for giving me strength. Without you, I wouldn't be here." There was silence for a moment, then the voice replied, "No, John. Without you, I wouldn't be here." John's eyes widened. "What do you mean?" The voice grew softer, almost fading. "I was trapped because I gave up. My spirit had no peace. But when you chose to fight, when you chose to live, you gave me what I could never give myself, redemption. By saving you, I saved myself." John's throat tightened. He whispered, "So, what happens now?" The answer came slowly, with warmth and calm. "Now, John, you no longer need me. You have your own strength. My voice was only a reminder. The courage was always inside you. And because you found it, I am free." John shook his head quickly, his heart racing. "No. Don't leave me. I still need you." But the voice replied, kind and firm, "You needed me when you were weak. But now, you are strong. Strong enough to stand, to fight, and to live. My time with you is over." Tears filled John's eyes. "Will I ever hear you again?" The voice grew faint, like a whisper carried by the wind. "Maybe not. But remember this, John, every time you face darkness, every time you feel alone, you will hear me inside you. Not as a voice, but as your own strength. Because the hero you searched for was never me. It was always you." And then, the room grew still. The warmth faded. The voice was gone. John sat in silence for a long time, tears running down his face. He felt empty, but not broken. Sad, but not lost. For the first time, he understood. The invisible hero had not come to save him forever. He had come to guide him until he found his own power. And now that John had it, the hero's journey was complete. Months passed. John continued working, but now with a new spirit. He visited his mother every day, watching her grow stronger. His life was still hard, there were still bills, still struggles, but he faced them differently. With courage. With belief. One evening, he walked across the same bridge where it all began. He stopped at the railing and looked down at the dark water. The memory of that night returned, the hopelessness, the tears, the voice that saved him. But this time, he did not feel weak. He did not feel alone. He placed his hand on the railing and whispered, "Thank you, for everything." The wind blew softly across his face, almost like an answer. And John smiled. From that day forward, John lived differently. Whenever he met someone who looked tired, hopeless, or broken, he would stop and talk to them. He would share his story. He would remind them, "Your story is not over yet." And in doing so, John became what the invisible hero had once been to him. A silent guide. A source of hope. A light in someone else's darkness. Because sometimes, the greatest hero is not the one we see, but the one who changes us forever.